All right. Hey, everyone. This is Billy Scott. Very excited to share on this topic. This is one of the most important skills of building a large business here in our profession, network marketing. And the reason it's so important is because you only have so many hours a day, so many days a week. And if you want to build a large income in this business, you're going to have to build a large team and you're going to need some help. Otherwise, if you have to do everything and you're the only one with the skills, you'll only have a team of about 30 people that you can work with. That's the most that somebody can work with on a daily or weekly basis, right? So the key is to develop other presenters. You know, you want to get to a point where you have 5 presentations a day and then 10 per day and beyond per day going on in your business. You might have only did 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, but you now have leaders on your team that are starting to do 2, 3, 4, 5 presentations. Next thing you know, there's 25, 30, 40 presentations per day going on. So you want to build an army of presenters, but guess what? You won't have anybody developing their presentation until they see you presenting. So you got to lead by example. And the type of presentation we're going to talk about today is simple. We're not talking about throwing you in front of a large group or anything yet. Some of you want to do that. That's cool. But no, we're talking about this 1 through 10 flyer you see on the screen. And this is going to come in handy in 4 different settings. The first setting is a one-on-one sit-down presentation. That's where you reach out to a friend, colleague, a coworker, somebody you just met at a networking event, and you sit down with them over coffee and you go over this flyer 1 through 10. That's a one-on-one. A two-on-one is, let's say you're a field trainer or above and you start doing presentations with your team. So now it's you, an agent on your team, and then you're doing the presentation for their prospect. That's a two-on-one. The third type is a small group presentation. So small group is where like a PBR, aka a home presentation, or at an office, a church, smaller group, and then you would have these 1 through 10s passed out and everybody has one to follow along. And then of course there's the large overview presentation with the PowerPoint, which just expands on the content on the 1 through 10 flyer. So this is going to be very simple, guys. But again, you want to look forward to sharpening these skills. Every time you sharpen a new skill in our business, you just made yourself more valuable and worthy of more money, right? Less skills, less money. So you literally get paid to learn here, right? And so we're going to give you some tips that's going to help you with your presentation. Starting with how to become a good presenter. Well, guess what? Take notes on all of the presenters. You know how I started learning my presentation was I always went to the weekly overview in my area. So if you have a weekly overview, you want to plug in every single week. 1, you want to bring guests, but 2, you want to take notes on how the presenters are speaking. Every presenter is different. So you're going to get different tips and jokes and secrets of how they present, right? Body language, right? All of these things, their confidence, even how they close at the end of the presentation. So all these things are important, all right? But here's what I want to start with now is how to set up the presentation in the first place. So write this down. There's 3 steps in this simple approach that can work for anybody, a friend, coworker, whoever. It's step 1 is show. Step 2 is 15 minutes, and step 3 is may or may not be interested, okay? So here's how that sounds. I call up my friend. Hey, Mike, how's it going, man? Okay, great. Hey, I'm doing well as well myself. And but listen, there's something important I wanted to show you. It'll only take about 15 minutes, and by the way, you may or may not be interested. And so you can even say that in a different order. It still works, right? So don't worry about the order. You can say, hey, Mike, listen, you may or may not be interested, but listen, we need to get together for 15 minutes. There's something important I want to show you, okay? Or you can say, hey, I want to get with you for 15 minutes. You may or may not be interested, but there's something important I want to show you. Now, these 3 components are simple. It's a script or approach that anybody can memorize right away. But more importantly, it sets up more and more appointments. Even if you just got started today, you can use that approach and go pop in a video. You don't have to know how to do a presentation. But if you're a field trainer or above, you want to start developing a presentation as well, in addition to using the videos and tools, okay? So now you set up the appointment with that script. The first reason why that script works is because show says, I need to meet up with you for you to see it, because they can't say, well, tell me about it, because then that puts too much pressure on you. And so I usually tell people, hey, it's 95% visual. That's why I want to meet up with you. You got to see it. Then the 15 minutes is key, because if you ask for any more than that, then they're going to think that they need to, schedule, inconvenience in their schedule. And they're going to have to wait a week or a month to meet with you, right? But 15 minutes, hey, we can meet today, tomorrow. And then may or may not be interested. relaxes them to know you're not about to pressure them into anything. And we don't need to do that, because once they see what we offer, I would say majority of people will understand the value enough to get it. All right. So now you set up the appointment, you're there in person. Now it's time to get down to business. Now, let's say you met up at a coffee shop. If this is somebody, let's say I'm doing a 2-on-1 and I'm the presenter, and this is this guest is for the agent that I'm working with, right? Well, what happens is I want to start off building rapport. So let's say we got our coffee or our drinks, we sit down, and rapport is simply me asking some questions about them. That allows us to create a direct connection, so they know I'm not just coming in business only, strict, I'm the closer guy, salesperson. No, I want to build a friendship as well. And the way that I built that rapport is by using FORM, FORM, family, occupation, recreation, and motivation, FORM. So here's an example of what that sounds like. So we sit down and I say, hey, so now again, I won't have to do this if this is my personal friend in a one-on-one, all right? But if I just met this person, I'm like, hey, so remind me again, tell me more about what you do and how long you've been doing it, right? So they tell me, and I'm like, oh, awesome, you must love it. You've been doing it for 7 years, wow. And sometimes they'll say, yeah, I do actually. It just, I don't make all the money I want to make. Or they might say, no, I don't love it, but it pays the bills. So the more I ask these questions, hey, tell me about your family. Hey, tell me about, what would you rather be doing if you have more time, more money? That's how I find out their motivation. You guys get in recreation. So guys, form works very well, but just spend only 2 minutes or so. You don't have to, make this big thing. Step 1 is form. Step 2 in the sit down is I'm going to now share my story. It's only fair, if I got all this information from them, for me to make them a little more familiar with me. So again, we build a bridge for them to cross over at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to share my 30 to 45 second story. You want to practice that, okay? You're going to be bad at all these parts at first. Don't worry about if you leave something out. They don't know what you left out, okay? So I'm going to say my story, and I'm going to say, hey, well, let me share with you. I was introduced to this 2 years ago. I had been in business for myself, but still didn't understand credit, made a lot of credit mistakes. I'm so glad I got started with this service, because they helped me increase my personal credit score 172 points the first 4 months. They also helped me get my will done, my trust done, my healthcare and financial power of attorney, and all the other services we're going to talk about. And they even have a program in place where I'm able to get these services at no cost. So besides my initial upfront cost. So then my friend shared with me the referral opportunity and how I can start earning some extra income, and while I still ran my other business. And so I thought that was interesting. And now I do that. I also get free life insurance with the company as well. So we're just going to share the same information with you. Now, that was about 30 seconds or so. Okay. But my point is, share basically what's your background, where you were before FES, what you saw, okay, that made you want to be a part of FES, and then where you see this going, or what's happened so far if you've been having success. Maybe you're brand new, so you haven't had that much success because you're brand new, right? So you can say, we see this business, it's only been a couple of weeks. We, got our first couple of enrollments. We're excited. And through the system and training, we see ourselves being able to retire a lot earlier. Or through the system and training, we see ourselves being able to travel more, or go from renting to owning. And so we're very excited, and we just want to share the same information. Okay, so you got the rapport out the way, share your story, and then you're going to get into this 1 through 10 flyer. Now, when it comes to the flyer, again, I want to remind you, you don't have to be fancy. Again, the more fancy your presentation is, the longer it's going to take your team to duplicate your presentation. So keep it simple. If you forget something, don't put pressure on yourself. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to, if you forget where you are or forgot to say something, just go right back to the box you were on, and you'll be just fine. Okay. So here's all right, there we go. So here's, I'll start with box number 1. It covers, I say, hey, so first I want to start with sharing who we are, our company's financial education services, and then I'll read every component there. All right, and I'm going to let them know that, these are our 2 co-founders, Mike Toloff and Paramel Nyack. A good way to remember how to say his name is rhymes with kayak, right? If you really pronounce it from his culture, then it's a little more specific. But Paramel Nyack is fine, okay? And you'll be fine, because I know a lot of people have a challenge pronouncing his name at first. So then you go into box number 2, and then you let them know, all right, so now I want to cover the services of the protection plan membership. Now, you guys, again, Don't worry about remembering everything, but you do want to take notes at every presentation, whether you're at a live overview or a webinar. Take notes because you get better and better at explaining this. The key to doing a good presentation is get good at doing a good presentation in the fewest amount of words possible. We call it, the word is brevity, meaning getting your point across with the fewest amount of words possible. Okay, so you don't want to get too detailed and get into too many facts. Usually when I get to this part, I start doing two things: asking questions and telling stories. So asking questions, for example, I say, hey, so the first thing the protection plan covers is credit restoration. Are you familiar with how credit restoration works? Or do you know anyone that's ever had credit restoration? So I'm asking questions because I'm finding out, again, more about their needs. And also I'm keeping them engaged. You ever been in class, maybe in high school, the teacher calls on you and you weren't paying attention and you're like, oh, can you repeat that again? They don't want to be in that position when you're asking questions. So you ask questions. The other thing that really sells this for you, so you don't have to be the salesperson, is share stories that you're familiar with. If you don't have that many, start collecting stories and write them down. When somebody shares a story on a presentation, somebody might share a story of how LifeLock helped somebody with their identity theft situation, or stories about credit restoration. Okay, so I go through each of these services. At the end of the services, I'm gonna ask, hey, so let me ask you, how much do you think these services would cost if you had to get them from separate companies? And then they'll tell me their answer, and they'll say, wow, it'd be pretty expensive. I say, exactly. Well, usually the answer is anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 is the answer, or $400 per month minimum. Our company put this membership in place to make it affordable for everyday people to have access to all these benefits. It's only $99 one-time activation fee plus the first month's $89 payment. So it's $188 to start, and then $89 per month, which is less than $3 a day. So we're literally talking about a cup of coffee a day to have access to everything we just talked about. All right. Do you see the value of the membership? They're like, yes. Okay. 99% of the time they're going to say yes. It just is very rare. It's probably closer to 100%, but usually they'll say, yes, I see the value. Absolutely. So now you see why we're excited. And I want to share with you also, and I'll go back down to box 3, $2 per month goes towards the YFL program. And I'll explain that, simply I'll say, this provides financial literacy, resources, and scholarships for 8 to 18-year-olds with the funds from this. This year we gave out $250,000 in scholarships. So anyways, that's that. Now I want to pause for a second. I'll end this part. So I'll say, you said you see the value of the service, right? Okay, great. What parts did you like best so far about the service? Now you notice I didn't say, what did you think? If you say, what did you think about any part of the presentation, their answer could be negative or positive. But when you say, what did you like best, they'll point out the parts of the service that was most important to them. They'll say, well, I need the credit restoration. I definitely want to get my will done. And I like this part, right? So now, at the end, once you get to the end, to make it easier to get them signed up, at the end of the presentation, you can say, well, awesome. We're going to go ahead and get your restoration started, your will done, and, whatever benefits they said. All right. Now, I want to pause for a second. Another tip for you is we call it mirror matching. This also builds rapport. Okay, make sure you mirror their energy, body language, their tonality. So if a person's laid back and they're shy and they're like, this sounds really great, then I'm not going to be over the top like, hey, you ready to do this? Then you're going to scare them, right? So if they're lower energy, then I'm going to lower my energy and my body language. Okay, if they put their hands together on the table, then I'm gonna do the same thing while I'm speaking to them. And I'm telling you, it's just it's been proven to build a stronger connection. It's called speaking their language, and not just verbally, but even their body language and their energy. If they're higher energy, you want to be higher energy. If they're like, hey man, I'm all about the money, I'm like, hey man, me too, man, let's make it happen. Listen, so mirror match. Okay, big tip. Okay, practice that. All right, so now I'm going to say, well, let me also ask you, how many people do you know that have less than perfect credit? Okay, so they're going to tell me that. And then I'm going to ask them one more question. How many people do you know that would love more time, more money, and maybe even to travel more? And they're going to say, well, shoot, me? Everybody. I say, exactly. Well, let me share with you how the opportunity is allowing people to do all 3 of those. Because a lot of people only have 1 or 2 of those. They got money and no time, no money, maybe time and money, maybe good money, but they're not enough to travel. So we're going to share exactly. And then I'll get started, right? I'm going to say something like, hey, my phone's going off right now, but they're going to say something like, I'll say something like, it shows you right there. Well, you see how simple it is to get started in the business. Usually when people start their own business, do you know I usually ask, do you know anybody who owns a business? And they'll say, yeah. Okay. Do you know how much they invested? And you'll say, well, shoot, 10,000, 50,000, 30,000. Say exactly. Imagine having all the benefits of those businesses and more without those expenses. Here, for the price of a purse or some shoes, you can get started in business at $288. And that includes the first month of your membership. And then I'll say, let me show you what else it includes. And I'll go over this list of benefits. Now let me go over, highlight how you can start earning some really good income, another stream of income here, starting with box 5. And I'll say, hey, it shows you, you're going to get $100 per customer you refer. You're not the one doing the restoration. Our team at corporate does that. They sign up on your website. You got $100 coming on next week's check, every customer. And then it says, I'll explain, get 5 and it's free, right? Or strive for 5. After you enroll 5 customers or agents that are active starting the next billing cycle, guess what? Your $89 a month gets waived. And I'll let so it's always good if you've gotten your 5 out the way, so then you can be an example of that, by the way. So hurry up and get your 5. Box 6 shows the residual income. I let them know after 3 months of your customer or agent enrolling, then you start getting $12 per month residual income every month for life, as long as they're active. Okay, so that starts to build up that money that allows you to retire early. So because it comes in whether you work or not. Okay, and then I say box number 7 is the residual on starting to build a team. Imagine if you just enroll 5 customers or agents and then they did the same thing 6 levels down. That would multiply to 19,530 protection plan memberships, because all of your agents have memberships as well. And what happens is your residual for that would be $75,000 per month. And here's how I would explain that, because some people that'll blow their mind. They're like, what? Too good to be true. So the way I explain it, I say, listen, is everybody making that kind of money? No. But are there people making that kind of money in FES? Yes, absolutely. But here's what I love. If you got that plan 90% wrong, 10% right, your income will still be $7,500 per month residually. And 99% wrong, you'd still have $750 per month coming in residually. So this is a great plan for building up residual income. Now I will go down to box number 8. Okay, box number 8 would explain the CAB bonuses. I let them know it's customer acquisition bonus when you start building a team. They pay you anywhere from $100 all the way up to $550 every time you enroll an agent who gets 2 customers. Whatever your level is, you're going to get your first CAB bonus, what we call your initial CAB bonus for just enrolling the agent. And then you're going to get a remaining CAB bonus when that agent gets 2 customers within 60 days or less. The second option on how to release that remaining CAB bonus is if you have customers that you've recently enrolled, you can place your customers under the agent to trigger that CAB bonus, as long as it's 60 days or less as well. So, and I might give them some other examples. You'll get better at explaining the comp plan. But I keep it simple in the very beginning, guys. I'm telling you, don't worry about what you might leave out or what you forgot. Don't put that pressure on yourself, because, again, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. They'll get it, trust me. But you also cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. If the timing's not right for them, it's okay. So don't feel pressure. It's not you. Keep it focused on the information in FES. You are not the message. You're just the messenger, okay? The message is on the flyer, or on the video, or at the live event. All right. I go over the R&R Club. I let them know, hey, there's 11 more bonuses that kick in as you grow. This isn't going to happen overnight. But these are built in, and there's tons of people that are already achieving them. Let me highlight a few. And then you highlight these bonuses, and then you close out showing them why they don't need experience. They just need a desire to become successful and part-time, right? And then I list the things that they're going to get once they get started as an agent. Now, at the end of the presentation, it's time to close. You have to work on becoming a closer. The good news is, in the beginning, you don't have to be the closer. You can learn from the closers, just like you learn from the presenters. What do I mean by that? At the end of the presentation, I'm going to say, hey, so what did you like best about the opportunity? Here's that question again. They're going to tell me, I like this, I like residual, I want to retire early, that'll be amazing, da-da-da. Great, me too, okay? Here's how you can start getting more people started if you don't know how to close. There's a lot of people who start doing presentations or even showing the video, and they don't know how to close, and that's okay. That's when you're new, but somebody needs to close if you don't, okay? So what you do is And what I mean by close, that means walking them through the process of actually enrolling, okay? Otherwise, if you don't close, you're just gonna leave like, oh, you like it? Me too, great. You wanna get started? No? Oh, okay, well, thanks for checking it out. All right, talk to you later. All right, there's no closing. No, you gotta have somebody close, guys. So this is the best way when you're a new presenter to have somebody else close while you're still learning. Again, we call it using third party. So you've already used a third party tool, like a video, the 1 through 10 flyer. You can also use a third party expert. So at the end, I'm gonna say, what did you like best? Okay, great, me too. So I wanna introduce you to someone. I've already told them about you, and they're available right now just to share their story. I want you to hear from somebody who's having more success than I am. They can answer any questions you might have as well. So hold on one second. Now, I've already messaged or called a leader or two before the sit down started, see? So I reach out, hey, Alfred, how's it going? Man, glad you were available. I know how busy you are. I just wanted to see if you had a moment to talk to my friend or my coworker and share your experience and maybe answer any questions they might have. Hold on one second. Here's Mike. Boom. And I pass the phone. Now, if I'm doing a 2-on-1, I'm the closer, obviously. I know how to close, okay? But in that first scenario, Alfred, whoever's in the support team, a sales director, doesn't have to be your upline. It could be a workout partner in the business. That's why it's good to have workout partners. But sales director or above usually can close. And that person's going to hop on the phone, share their story, and say, hey, here's what's happened for me with FES so far. I love it. Did you have any questions? Great. Here's question answered. Here's the answer. So let me ask, and then they're going to close. They're going to ask, if you got started, how much extra income? And then they're going to ask those closing questions. Now, that's how you close it out with the expert. But eventually, you want to take notes on the close at all the presentations you go to so you can learn how to close. A simple close is, what did you like best? They tell you, hey, I say, me too. I say, well, listen, did you want to, two options. Did you want to get started as an agent and a customer, or just a customer? And they usually choose one of those options. They might say, well, just a customer right now. I'll say, well, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get you started on your credit restoration, your will, and those other areas that you mentioned earlier. I'm excited for you. What is the address to have your materials sent to? Boom. And I go through the application right there on the phone or laptop or iPad. If they decide to get started as an agent, I'm like, man, welcome to the team. See, you walk them through. You don't question, right? No doubt. We call it assume the sale. So, they say, I want to get started as an agent and a customer. You don't say, today, like right now, no, you're like, welcome to the team. See, assume the sale, have confidence. If you want to be a vice president, what happens is you have to act as if you are already at those levels and operate with that level of confidence. And so those two options, you want to become a customer and an agent, or just a customer. Either way it goes, you win, they win, everybody wins. Okay, we don't have to force them into becoming something they don't want to become. All right. So hopefully that helped you guys. Now, so again, quick recap of some things. We talked about inviting to set up the presentation. We talked about using form, sharing stories, important, guys. Facts tell, but stories sell. Our parents told us bedtime stories, not bedtime facts, all right? And then, of course, get good at asking questions. That's a skill that comes over time. You get better and better. And then at the end, you got to assume the sale or use third-party presenter to close it out. Guys, this is how you become a presenter. Be okay with being bad at first, because, again, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and they don't know what you left out, okay? But you will get better after about 5 or 10 of these. In fact, in the beginning, you can even let them know, hey, I'm brand new, I'm excited, but I'm just now starting to learn the presentation. Let me practice on you. I want to practice with 10 people, and I'll treat you to coffee for letting me practice, okay? So it's okay in this business to do that, and the simpler you keep it, and sometimes the worse you are, the more they believe. They're like, wait, if you can do this, I can definitely do this, okay? So with that said, guys, I'm so excited for you all. Comment under the video as you get progress and on your journey, so we can see the progress that you create from these tips, and share the video with your team as well. We'll see you guys over the top. Have a good one.